Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Seconds until minions spawn. Minions have spawned.
rogue agents.
We have to bring her in.
We have to take her out.
He trained her,
She's being controlled.
but he can't contain her.
I kill you, or they kill me.
Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. All new tonight at 8/7 Central on ABC.
Hello, it's Shock Puppet here, and I'm going to be talking a bit about how to use Fraps and Adobe Premiere Pro to get smooth frame rate of gameplay footage and videos uploaded to YouTube. So frame rates are key to everything, and we need to record at the same frame rates we're going to edit in, which also needs to be the same as the frame rates that we're going to export our final video in. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm recording in 50 frames per second. However, here's a little interesting fact about YouTube and what it does to your video. If you upload a 50 frames per second video to the YouTube website, it will reduce that frames per second by about half. It will cut it down to 25. Similarly, if you're uploading a 60 frames per second video, you'll end up with a final video on the YouTube website of 30 frames per second. I've tested that, as you can see on screen here. In addition to this, the settings that we're choosing in Adobe Premiere Pro are also very important. YouTube has some recommended settings, and we're going to look at them today. But first, let's start by looking at Fraps. So Fraps is open on screen, you can see it here, and for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to be recording at 50 frames per second. Frames are important, as I mentioned before. You basically need to be choosing anything above 30, and the key thing is just to keep the frames the same across everything that we're doing. 50 frames per second is not listed as a recommended frame rate. YouTube recommend 30 frames per second. However, I have noticed that when recording high motion content, particularly in games, especially first-person games, that 30 frames per second does have some noticeable lag with my end result. So for that reason, I bumped it up to 50, just because my system can handle 50 quite nicely on all the games I play. The frame rates are going to be different for everyone depending on their system, so you need to experiment a bit with this just to get something that works best for you. You can use anything between 30 and 60, but YouTube will change them. So the next thing to do is to record some gameplay footage using Fraps. Go into your game and hit the record button. Now in-game, I'm going to be setting the game resolution the same as 720p, so that's 1280 by 720. The reason for this is because it's going to be the source video that we're working from in Adobe Premiere Pro, and I want that resolution to exactly match in our sequence settings and, more importantly, in our final export. So our exported video will have exactly the same resolution as our source video from the very start. I found this gives a much better result. So let's open up Adobe Premiere Pro now and start a new project. Okay, so in the box at the bottom, the fields, make sure we're using no fields progressive scan. Okay, for display format, we're just going to leave this to match our recording. So for the audio, we're going to be using 48,000 Hertz. And we'll leave the display format as audio samples. For preview file format, we're going to use iframe only MPEG. And then at the bottom, we're going to select maximum render quality. When we do this, it'll come up with some information. Just click OK. So just click OK at the bottom of the screen. And here is our project. So the sequence settings that we've chosen are exactly matching the recording that we did in Fraps. The frame per seconds are the same. Everything is identical. That's exactly what we need. And this is so important, and it's actually something that a lot of people overlook. So a bit later when we go to export our file, it'll have the same settings as the sequence that we're editing in, and the same settings as our Fraps recording. They'll all match up. So all we need to do now is grab our recording from Fraps and put it into our Adobe Premiere Pro project. So here it is here. I'm just going to drag and drop this in this list. We don't want any of them. We want to choose custom from the top just here. Okay, so with custom selected, we're going to have to think about our output name. Let's just leave it as the default sequence 01. We want to leave it on export video and export audio, and we want to check that the output and the source are matching. You can see 50 frames per second, and you can see the resolution here in the source are matching our output. You can see we've also got the same size of output with the same frames per second. That's exactly what we want. The audio is also the same. So from this list, we can see the video settings, the resolution for the width and the height. We want to make sure they're the same as our source video, and that they're not different at all. We can also see a bit further down, there's a frame rate there. We're going to leave that at 50. That was our original recording we did in Fraps. We want that to be the same. Under field order, we're going to leave it on progressive, and under aspect, we're going to leave it on square pixels 1.0. NTSC and PAL don't really matter so much, and on profile, we're going to make sure we select high. That's very important. Level, we're just going to leave at 3.2. Now, render at maximum depth, we can choose that. It will take a lot longer to do it like this. It's entirely up to you. It may increase the quality a little bit. It's not going to do anything for the smoothness. I'm going to leave it off. Now, under the bitrate settings, we're going to leave it on variable bitrate VBR2 pass, and we're going to have the target bitrate as 10. Yeah, okay, so we're going to have the target as 10, and we'll also keep the maximum bitrate at 25. Just in case it needs it, it'll be able to use it. I'm expecting, though, it'll probably come out a lot closer to the target bitrate at the end result. Now on keyframe distance, I've read that YouTube have specified that you can select to choose a keyframe distance of 2. It's entirely up to you if you want to do that. I don't think it's necessary. We're going to probably leave this off. I don't feel like there's any need to do this to create a smooth frame rate at our end result for the uploaded video on YouTube. So we're going to leave that off. We're going to make sure to leave use maximum render quality on, and we're going to leave frame blending off because our frame rates are matching. Our source and our Premiere Pro sequence are the same, and under output name we'll leave it as sequence 01. One last thing we're going to do is we're going to edit our audio settings quickly, choose it from the tab at the top of this list. Now, YouTube have recommended AAC as the audio codec, and we're going to leave the sample rate as idle to go on 48,000 Hertz. We're going to leave it on stereo, and we're going to make sure the audio quality is high. Now, under the bit rate, I'm just going to leave this as 256. You can go higher if you want to, but it's fine on 256. So come down to the bottom and click on Export, and Premiere Pro will do its thing. So while this is exporting, I'm just going to talk a little bit about why we chose the codec that we did. The final result of the HD video on YouTube is actually a H.264 video. That's the codec that YouTube uses themselves. So we're matching that to get as close to compatibility and quality as possible. The general rule of thumb is to upload the best quality video that you can. In the future, with higher display resolutions, it's best to make sure that you've got the highest quality uploaded video that you can upload. And that's just thinking long term about the life of your video. And so once you get this process right of recording in a certain frame rate, editing in a sequence in Premiere Pro at the same frame rate, and exporting at that same frame rate and resolution, of course, across all three, you'll notice that you have good results practically every time. So let's go and compare our finished product with our original recording. So you can see our Fraps recording on the left, and on the right we have our export from Adobe Premiere Pro. So let's take a look at the video properties, and you can see they're exactly the same. They're identical in every way. The frame width and height are the same. The frame rate is the same, and the audio sample rate is the same. The only difference that we have is with the bit rate and the data rate of both the audio and the video, and that's exactly to be expected. So there's no point in having a higher bit rate for our finished product. We've used 10,000 as the bit rate, and that's plenty. Up to about 8,000 there is a difference with some of the lower bit rates, but after we get over 8,000 there's none at all. And remember, this is a variable bit rate that we chose, and we allowed it to use up to 25,000, assuming that it might need it. This is the best quality to size ratio, and there's going to be no visible difference to the human eyeball after about this level of bitrate. So let's recap quickly. We use Fraps' recorded frame rate in our Adobe Premiere Pro sequence, and we also use that same frame rate in our export from Adobe Premiere Pro. So across all three of those areas, the frame rate and the resolution, the width and the height, were exactly the same. We use the H.264 codec as recommended by YouTube, as well as a fairly high bitrate, a variable bitrate for our recording, our final render. We also use some pretty high quality audio settings, although those aren't going to affect the smoothness or the frame rate of the end video at all. It's nice to have decent sound. Okay, so that's the end of this video. If you're looking for more detailed and advanced settings, I've left a link in the description of this video. Go have a read of it. One of the YouTube engineers has actually responded to it and provided some updated information too. Make sure you check out my channel. I'm going to be doing a range of videos for different social media, including YouTube. Okay, that's it from me.
Hi guys, I'm Dave. I'm a cameraman. I've been doing it professionally for some time now. I'm always trying to find new and exciting ways of improving my craft. Welcome to my little man cave. This is where I create some new rigs, some new systems, just try things out.
It's a Tesla helmet.
Stable shot. The holy grail is to get that steady shot, that really stable picture. Then I came across this amazing clip on the internet.
I'll show you. Watch his head stay totally stationary as I move his body.
Tried it on my own chicken Lizzie, and I was surprised it actually did work. I came up with a number of different prototypes, and what I was looking for was something that was
to Summoner's Rift. Blue team's turret has been destroyed. Blue team's turret has been destroyed. Blue team double kill. Purple team's turret has been destroyed. Triple kill. Shut down. Purple team's turret has been destroyed. Purple team's inhibitor has been destroyed. Rampage. Purple team's inhibitor is respawning. Purple team's turret has been destroyed. Purple team's